Gus Walz is not your inspiration porn. The International Paralympic Committee hosts a disability inclusion conference, and more on this episode of the Disability News Report.
This is the Disability News Report with host Arthur Aston.
Governor Tim Walz was recently named the vice presidential pick for current Vice President Kamala Harris as she runs for President of the United States in the upcoming election in November. At the Democratic National Convention in Chicago in August, Governor Tim Walz gave his speech and acknowledged his family in the audience. The camera cut to Governor Walz's son, Gus, who proudly exclaimed, "That's my dad," as he cried and clapped his hands. This video clip quickly began to circulate on television and social media around the world. The conversation about the video clip quickly took a turn to what is often described as inspiration porn. Yes, Gus Walz, the 17-year-old son of Governor Tim Walz, has a diagnosis of ADHD and a nonverbal learning disability. However, his diagnoses of ADHD and a nonverbal learning disability don't have any importance to this story. I would like to go back to the term that was just mentioned, inspiration porn. Inspiration porn is a term that was coined by disability rights advocate Stella Young in 2012. It is used to describe how the media objectifies people with disabilities to uplift the able-bodied population. While you may not have heard the term inspiration porn before, you have most definitely seen the news story headlines. Girl who suffers from Down syndrome gets invited to the prom. Or wheelchair-bound athlete scores winning basket in high school basketball game. Or even young adult overcomes disability challenges to operate successful company. Disabled people are not suffering from their diagnosis or overcoming their disability. They are simply living their lives. A wheelchair does not bind someone or bound them to one place. In more ways than one, the wheelchair actually provides an individual with more freedom to do more things and to be more active. In this story about Gus Walz, his diagnosis became the explanation or the reason why he responded with tears and excitement. Gus simply responded with two examples of human emotions. In that moment at the DNC, Gus was simply a child who was proud of his father and for his accomplishments. Yes, it is important to acknowledge disabilities in news stories and to recognize that a person with a disability may experience a unique set of challenges or barriers. What is not good is to acknowledge these disabilities and then to make them, their diagnosis, the sole reason why the story is important. Here on the Disability News Report, we encourage you to celebrate disabilities and the uniqueness that each disability brings to a story of an individual's life and the life that they are living. But do not make that the absolute only reason why you are sharing their story. Our next story comes from Paris. The IPC and UNESCO to host Disability Inclusion Conference. The 17th Summer Paralympic Games kicked off in Paris, France on August 28th. 4.25 billion people are expected to watch this year's Paralympic Games. Shortly before the opening ceremony of the Games, the International Paralympic Committee, the IPC, and the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, hosted the International Disability Inclusion Conference to highlight the impact of para sports. This conference brought together key stakeholders from around the world, including athletes, Paralympic movement experts, government officials, and leaders in the private sector to encourage investment in inclusive sports. One of the forums of the conference focused on the following themes: fostering more inclusive societies through para sports and physical activity, accessible infrastructure and equipment, persons with disabilities, holders of cultural rights at the forefront of inclusivity and cultural diversity, inclusive quality physical education and play, breaking down barriers through data-driven sports policies and programs. The Paris 2024 Paralympic Games will take place August 28th through September 8th. This year, the Games feature around 4,000 athletes who will compete in 549 medal events across 22 sports. When I have conversations about the Paralympic Games with others in the disability community, the question that comes up most often is, why are the Paralympic Games not shown in its entirety as the Olympics usually are? The Olympics, which took place this year, July 26th through August 11th, had hours of television coverage each day. NBC sent their best television hosts from The Today Show. Jimmy Fallon, Kelly Clarkson, and Colin Jost also joined in on the broadcasting of the Olympics. The Paralympics, however, are streaming on Peacock, which is a paid platform owned by NBC and Comcast, and they are also shown on the USA Network, which is not a cable channel that everyone receives. The Paralympic Games should be given equal time on television on the NBC network, just as the Olympics were shown. We are keeping up to date on the Paralympic Games as they take place and will provide an update on the medal count for Team USA on an upcoming episode of the Disability News Report. Our next story is Temple's Institute on Disability launches a new community center. This story is out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania at Temple University. Temple's Institute on Disabilities launched the Tech Owl Community Center. Tech Owl offers workshops and other classes and is also a place for members of the neighborhood to gather in the North Philadelphia community surrounding Temple's campus. The community center educates community members about the latest technology and advancements used to assist those in the disability community. The community center offers a technology lending library, and the staff members there are available to offer recommendations for what might be most appropriate for someone who has a disability in search of an assistive technology device. Destigmatizing the use of assistive technology in the disability community is a goal of this new community center. This is a great addition to the Temple University campus and is an effective way to educate the community about disabilities. As it is mentioned in the article, glasses and hearing aids are two common assistive devices that we hear about quite often. However, there are a wide range of other assistive technology devices that are not known by the public at large. By Temple and their Institute on Disabilities taking this step shows that they are committed and they have a desire to make a change in the way that society views those who are disabled and use assistive technology devices. Our last story is Ultra Accommodating Hotel Concept Goes Beyond ADA Accessibility. A new hotel concept design that will go above and beyond the requirements of the Americans with Disabilities Act was recently revealed. The new hotel, named Morgan's Hotel, is scheduled to open in 2026 in San Antonio, Texas. The hotel will be located near Morgan's Wonderland, a fully all-inclusive theme park that opened in 2010. The theme park includes a water park and also a camp. The founders of Morgan's Wonderland are designing this hotel, and they are currently in talks with major hotel brands, including Marriott, Hilton, and the Hyatt, to see which hotel chain will pick up this hotel. The hotel will have larger guest rooms, wider hallways, and other modifications that will go above and beyond what is required by the Americans with Disabilities Act, including sensory-sensitive lighting. Hotel staff will also be trained on topics related to disability etiquette, including training on how to assist with mobility devices. Having hotels that provide an accessible experience is so important and very necessary. A study conducted in 2022 by MMGY Global showed that travelers with mobility disabilities spent $58.2 billion on travel that year. We look forward to the opening of Morgan's Hotel, and we are so hopeful that other major hotel chains will begin to make more of their properties accessible and inclusive for their guests with disabilities. We thank you for watching this episode of the Disability News Report.